Good evening and salam keluarga Malaysia. You're watching News at 10 with me, Azlani. Making the headlines tonight, a trilateral cooperative arrangement to go beyond current defence sphere. And Singapore-Malaysia public transport services to resume on 1st April. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today visited the Defence Services Asia DSA and National Security Asia NATSAC 2022 exhibitions at the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Centre MITEC held at the Federal Capital. His Majesty was received upon arrival by Senior Defence Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein, Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin, senior officials of the Malaysian Armed Forces and foreign representatives. Al-Sultan Abdullah spent about 2 hours touring the exhibition booth of defence companies from various countries, including DefTech, DRB Highcom Defence Technologies Sdn Bhd, Mildef International Technologies and Turkish Aerospace. During his visit, His Majesty also consented to name an armoured vehicle prototype Rentaka, which was inspired by the name of an old Malay cannon. The vehicle, weighing over 8,000 kilograms and produced by local company Mildef, can be used to disperse riots and as a vehicle for dignitaries during emergencies. The Trilateral Cooperative Arrangements TCA ministerial meeting today agreed to expand the TCA beyond its current defence sphere by effectively incorporating a multi-agency approach. Senior Defence Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein said the TCA, which was created to address maritime security threats in the waters of Malaysia, Indonesia and the Philippines, should involve the relevant ministries and agencies of the three countries.
Secondly, to expedite the deployment of a permanent trilateral maritime patrol liaison officer. At the moment, we already have the country's maritime command centres in Tarakan, Tawau and Tawi-Tawi, and we decided today to expedite the appointment of the liaison officers for these centres. Thirdly, to ensure greater emphasis in intelligence for future surveillance operations, to increase productivity and accuracy in curtailing crime-terror nexus activities in the region.
He said this at a joint press conference with his counterparts from the neighbours Indonesia's Prabowo Subianto and the Philippines' Delfin Lorenzana on the sidelines of the DSA exhibition in Kuala Lumpur today. Earlier, Datuk Seri Hishamuddin and his Indonesian counterpart Prabowo Subianto witnessed the signing of a Memorandum of Collaboration (MOC) between Lembaga Tabung Angkatan Tentera (LTAT) and PT Pindad of Indonesia, with the aim of intensifying cooperation, especially in further developing the defence industries of both countries. LTAT Chief Executive Officer Datuk Nazim Rahman said this is the first step for the two parties to synergize so that Malaysia and Indonesia could leverage on each other's strength and expertise. Datuk Nazim said LTAT's investments in local defence industry through its investee companies currently stand at 244.2 million ringgit, with a current total order book of 11.8 billion ringgit. He added that LTAT will continue to explore commercially viable opportunities to further increase investment in the sector in line with its strategic asset allocation framework. PT Pindad is a state-owned company involved in the production of military and commercial wares including pistols, rifles, ammunition, special vehicles, pyrotechnic products, explosives, mechanical products, electrical optics and optoelectronics. Datuk Nazim signed the MOC on behalf of LTAT while PT Pindad was represented by its Chief Executive Officer, Abraham Mose. Public transportation between Malaysia and Singapore will resume services on 1st April when the two countries open their land borders to all travellers. Transport Minister Dato' Sri Dr. Wee Ka Siong said this applies to all forms of cross-border public transportation, including stage buses, express buses, tourist buses, worker buses and taxis. In a statement released today, Dato' Sri Dr. Wee said beginning 1st April, both countries will allow all travellers who have been fully vaccinated to cross the land border without having to undergo quarantine or perform COVID-19 tests, including pre-departure and on-arrival tests. He said this permission applies to all categories of travellers and the use of all types of land transport. Therefore, all public transport operators in the relevant countries can start making preparations towards restarting their operations, including renewing all relevant permits or licenses, either with the Road Transport Department, Land Public Transport Agency or with the authorities in Singapore. Dato' Sri Dr. Wee, however, said the resumption of the transportation service all depends on the readiness of the operators involved. The Transport Minister further reminded all operators of cross-border public transportation to adhere to the existing COVID-19 Standard Operating Procedures, SOPs. This includes ensuring all passengers undergo QR code check-ins and all refusing travellers who refuse to wear face masks. On another note, the Transport Minister said for those travelling in private cars into Malaysia, they must remember to register and obtain their Foreign Vehicles Entry Permit VEP website. Vehicles that are registered will be provided with an RFID VEP tag, which will be equipped with the Touch and Go e-wallet app for the purpose of paying the toll. Dato' Sri Dr. Wee said travellers driving Singapore-registered vehicles must ensure they have valid Touch and Go cards and that they have enough balance to pay their road charge to avoid congestion and delays. He added that the Transport Ministry hopes the reopening of the Malaysia-Singapore borders will not only spur the economic growth of both countries, but also strengthen the family ties and friendships between Malaysians and Singaporeans. All COVID-19 vaccine candidates that are being developed in the country have yet to be commercialized. Deputy Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dato' Ahmad Amzad Hashim, said the vaccine candidates must undergo research and development (R&D) process, clinical and preclinical studies before they can be commercialized. Commenting further on the matter, Dato' Ahmad Amzad said every step of the vaccine production must comply with the regulations and standards set by the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency and PRA, as well as international organizations. He also said the country is currently developing two types of COVID-19 vaccines, namely inactivated and messenger ribonucleic acid or mRNA vaccines.
Vaksin yang dilemahkan, inactivated, statusnya sekarang ni berada di peringkat kajian praklinikal bagi tujuan pembuktian konsep proof of concept dengan izin yang telah bermula pada Februari 2022 dan dijangka siap pada Julai 2022. Selepas itu analisis data akan dijalankan dan dijangka berakhir Disember 2022. Yang kedua adalah teknologi vaksin berasaskan mRNA yang mana ia berada di peringkat makmal iaitu in vitro transcription ke atas cell culture dengan izin. Pertama yang telah bermula pada Jun 2021 dan dijangka akan siap pada Disember 2022.
The Deputy Minister also said that if the proof of concept on these two vaccines are successful, the production of these vaccines will be continued through laboratories which adhere to good laboratory practice and good manufacturing practice. Coming up, KPD and HEB to investigate price hike cases thoroughly. The obsession for infrastructure development and business profits cannot be used to justify people's greed to destroy the environment. The Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Muizzuddin Shah, said a technological advancement alone cannot rein in disasters resulting from environmental devastation in the hands of man.
Kecanggihan teknologi semata-mata tidak mampu membendung bencana Pembangunan negara harus mengambil kira elemen pemantapan sosial dan rasa cinta kepada alam sekitar.
His Royal Highness also said that the COVID-19 pandemic, natural disasters, inflation and lately conflicts have threatened the global food supply, where rising food prices will affect lives and create distress. Touching on food wastage, especially during Ramadan, Sultan Nazrin advised the government departments set an example, starting by ordering food quantities in functions and events held and during meetings. The Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPDN-HEP, has assured that it will investigate every case of excessive price increase in detail and comprehensively at every stage of distribution to prevent profiteering activities. Its Deputy Minister, Dato' Rosal Wahid, said every complaint of unreasonable price increase would be investigated, starting from manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors and retailers to find out the cause. Elaborating further, Dato' Rosal said as a country with an open economic system, the price of goods was determined by demand and supply factors, and traders could determine any change in the price of goods. But it was subject to the enforcement of the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Act, AKHAP 2011.
Masalah kenaikan harga barang memang kita tak dapat untuk nak. Artinya tidak ada satu cara yang khusus. Artinya apa yang berlaku ialah apabila barang atau barang sebut, benda sebut meningkat dengan keuntungan yang melampau, itu kesalahan.
The Deputy Minister also said that if the investigations reveal that the price increase is unreasonable and there is profiteering element based on purchase documents in each chain, then those involved will be subject to action under AKHAP 2011. He added that more than 2,200 enforcement officers with the assistance of about 1,000 price monitoring officers will monitor business activities at Ramadan bazaars nationwide this year. The Film Censorship Board (LPF) and the Home Ministry are in the midst of reviewing the possibility of reducing television stations' censorship authority for the approval process to broadcast a film or drama. Deputy Communications and Multimedia Minister Dato' Zahidi Zainal Abidin said the move was to ensure it was under control and heavier penalties could be imposed if any violations occurred.
Semua stesen TV yang membuat proses penafisan siaran mengambil tindakan kepada mana-mana yang boleh menyebarkan klip video tanpa kebenaran yang boleh mencalar imej, dan semua stesen perlu bertanggungjawab dalam memastikan perkara yang sama tidak berulang lagi.
Dato' Zahidi also said that film and drama producers must ensure that the content complies with the film censorship guidelines set in ensuring that the broadcast material does not deviate from Islamic teachings, customs and culture practiced by Malaysians. He said the guidelines should be in accordance with the regulations set by the LPF, Home Ministry, as well as the guidelines on content censorship of Islamic broadcasting materials by the Malaysian Islamic Development Department and the RTM Television Broadcasting Guidelines. AirAsia had settled over 90% of passenger refunds thus far, despite financial difficulty faced by the airline industry, which was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, and is not expected to face a big hurdle to settle more in a few months' time. Capital A Berhad Chief Executive Officer Tan Sri Tony Fernandez said this is considered a remarkable achievement, as it was achieved without any financial support from the government and the huge amount involved compared to other airlines, as AirAsia was flying about 90 million people pre-COVID-19 period. Tan Sri Tony Fernandez said the airline is seeking strong backing whereby it has performed beyond expectation in most domestic markets. The Capital A Berhad CEO said he clearly had to define between AirAsia X and AirAsia, where AirAsia had handled over 90% of refunds without an issue, as the company had been transparent. He said that their guests understood that the company had been supportive, although there had been some noise and issues being made out of it. He also said that refunds will be coming as the flight resume, with Malaysia probably within a couple of months and the Philippines within 6 months. Tan Sri Tony added that AirAsia acts as guest and meanwhile would also be getting vouchers when the airline starts flying as a gesture of fairness to the low-cost long-haul carrier. New athletes and talents are urged to make high jumper Lee Hapway as their inspiration and as example in order to become an accredited athlete. National Athletics head coach Muhammad Aman Shah Abdul Jalil said Hapway can be made as a role model considering his many experiences and achievements.
Hapway adalah seorang atlet yang boleh dijadikan sebagai role model. Nak dikatakan legend, memang legend acara lompat tinggi kerana dia telah pergi ke semua, boleh katakan semua acara pertandingan lah, daripada peringkat kata sekolah, daerah sampai ke peringkat Olimpik. Jadi saya rasa keseluruhan perjalanan seorang atlet tu dia ada. Kesedaran itu bukanlah kehilangan yang besar, tidak, tapi ialah satu kita ingat dia sebagai seorang legend yang boleh nanti akan membantu atlet-atlet muda sebagaimana dia katakan tadi, seorang jurulatih yang saya yakin seorang jurulatih yang berwibawa dengan pengalaman dan ilmu pengetahuan yang dia ada buat masa ini.
Yesterday, Lee Hapway announced his retirement after 18 years of serving the country as a national athlete. He had been involved in the sport since the age of 17, with a collection of proud achievements such as winning a gold medal at the 2007 Asian Championships in Amman, Jordan, and 4 gold medals at the SEA Games. Kelantan United celebrated their very first win of the 2022 Premier League season with a 1-0 victory over PDRM FC at the Kuala Lumpur Football Stadium in Cheras last night. The match's solitary goal was scored by Nigerian import player Njoku Jacob in the second half when the 24-year-old converted a Panenka penalty and became his team's hero. Both teams were equally matched during the first half of the match, with PDRM creating 5 chances compared to Kelantan United's 2, but both teams were on target only once. Kelantan United took a more aggressive approach in the second half until they earned a penalty in the 56th minute after PDRM Saiful Hasnul Muhammad Rafi defender brought down his opponent in the box. The victory made up for the 0-2 loss to Johor Darul Ta'zim 2 in their opening match previously. 1-0 result also means that PDRM FC have lost for the first time this season. Kelantan United are scheduled to meet FAM NSC Project squad, while PDRM will next take on Terengganu FC 2.
Why do we tell you stories?
Relevant,
New,
efficient,
accurate.
reliable. We bring you extraordinary stories from around the world, from politicians, bankers, and even your favorite celebrities. This and many more on RTM's English News.
That concludes this evening's The News at 10. In our top story, trilateral cooperative arrangement to go beyond current defence sphere. Join me again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, I'm Aslani Adani. Goodbye for now.